In the beginning, it was almost imperceptible. A sly invader that had my mother occasionally forgetting names, repeating herself in conversations. But its power grew. And the woman who loved to swim and dance and exercise and ride a mountain bike forgot things as simple as how to use the brakes. Her thoughts became muddled. She would sometimes hear voices that were not there. A few years after my father died, she left the house in the middle of the night, in slippers, in the snow, trying to find him. We could not stop what Alzheimer's was doing to our mother's brain. She forgot the process of walking. She was physically able to walk, put one foot in front of the other. She forgot her friends. She forgot the grandchildren who she loved more than life. In the beginning, she would tell us over and over, "I want to go home, please. I just want to go home." This little house that my father built was the only place she wanted to be. She forgot us. On July 8th, 2015, my mother found the only way possible to escape Alzheimer's. She died. And finally, she is home.
Let me go home. I'm just too far from where you are. I wanna come home.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Colleen Marshall. My mother's journey through Alzheimer's lasted more than 10 years. It was a long and winding road, peppered with confusion, fear, and sorrow. But along the way, my family also found ways to laugh, to enjoy any glimmer of my mother's personality that would shine through, and finally, to accept the inevitable. Her journey also inspired this series of special reports, and tonight we will talk about the very latest in research and treatment. You will hear about the warning signs and how other families are managing their journeys through Alzheimer's. Most importantly, you will be able to have your lines are open by members of the Alzheimer's Association, Aging, Senior Star at Dublin Retirement, and Ganshorn Senior Living. They are also helping staff our chat at NBC4i.com. On the phone, the chat, these are the people who can point your family in the right direction, tell you about treatment options, respite care, how to keep loved ones safe. A little later, we'll explain the organic nature of Alzheimer's and tell you about the warning signs. We'll have a live interview with the leading Alzheimer's researcher from The Ohio State University, and you're going to meet 3 teenagers who found a way to honor their father, who is living with early onset Alzheimer's. Any caregiver can tell you that taking care of someone who is living is a worsening challenge. Alzheimer's only gets worse. Husbands and wives care for each other. Children care for their parents. But what if you have no husband, no children? Would your brothers and sisters step in? We want you to meet a local family with a brother and sisters who decided very early that Alzheimer's is no match for sibling love.
I think, in the back of your mind, you don't want to think that it's Alzheimer's or dementia. We just said, oh, she's forgetting. She's just forgetting things.
Well, I didn't want to believe that she was, getting dementia, and it was just something I wasn't ready to accept.
Mary Yvonne Autry was the big sister, the former model.
But she loved to have fun. She loved to have fun.
And travel.
And travel. She traveled a lot.
The love of her life had been killed in a plane crash, so Mary never married. She worked and was in her early 50s when her family started thinking was wrong.
Mom and Mary lived together, and things would disappear. And my mother would ask Mary about them, and she says, I don't know anything about it. Mom says, well, there's no one here but you and me.
After their mother died, Mary's decline became more evident. Her car broke down one night on the city's south end.
She got out and walked.
And it was a long, long walk from the south end north along Interstate 71 all the way to Carl Road, alone, late at night.
And she walked. She had a cell phone and didn't realize that she could have called.
By that time, Mary was living in a condo. Her sister Yufa, brother Harry, and sister Wilma all lived nearby. There were daily phone calls to check on Mary. And during one of those calls,
and I called Mary one day and I asked her, I said, what did you do today? And she said, oh, some man came over. And I said, came over for what? She says, I don't know. I said, you let him in? Yes. What did he do? She said, he went to the TV. I said, was it a cable man? I don't know.
So we were worried. Who came in our house? What did they do and what did they take, if anything?
So there was a family meeting. The sisters and brother had to keep Mary safe. Mary is now 78 and has had Alzheimer's for more than 25 years.
We, as the ones who do not have Alzheimer's, have to realize what's happening to them and give them love and not lash back. And my husband had to teach me that because he worked with the elderly. And Mary would lash out at me and I would lash out at her. We would go back and forth. He would say, Yufa, you can't do this. If she hollers at you, speak softly. So it took me a while. Mary.
Yufa and her husband Guy see to Mary's daily needs. She can no longer be left alone.
And 9, we made it.
All right, it's sad to see because, you know, unless some miracle happens, it's just going to be a downhill slope.
Harry's wife Isabel is a hospice nurse, so she knows what's coming.
That's the hardest thing, you know, because, like I say, I've seen all the stages of it. And Mary is still to the point where if you get her up, she can walk around. But I know that one of these days, she won't be able to do that.
And there's times that she'll just start crying. And we don't know whether it's something she's feeling or thinking about, or if it's the disease.
The disease, cruel, relentless Alzheimer's. It has taken Mary's memories and her ability to recognize the people who love her, the brother and sisters who love her enough to take care of her until the end.
And I have had people ask me, well, how do you do it? Said, she doesn't know you. You know, the Mary you knew is gone. But I was telling them that, you know, she may not know us, but we do know her, and we still love her.
We know that there, but for the grace of God, it could be any one of us.
Siblings of those living with Alzheimer's often fear that they could be next. My mother was one of 10 children, but only her beloved brother Jack was around to see her struggle through Alzheimer's. It was agonizing for him to witness his big sister's decline. He was helpless and haunted by what was happening to her. I talked to him about that 3 years ago.
I hate to, because it depresses me. I remember how she was before she got it. And I don't know how she got it.
Uncle Jack was so afraid of Alzheimer's, afraid that he was next. But just 1 month before my mother's death, he died of cancer. My mother never knew he was gone. He said, at least I didn't get Alzheimer's. Is there a genetic component? We're going to be with our Alzheimer's. Much later in this program, my siblings, some friends, and I. And if you've ever wondered what a support group is like, we're going to take you inside our session to show you. We do have resources here. If you have, you can call 821-4445 web chat at NBC. alzheimer.com, click on Live Chat at the top of the homepage. Later, Dr. Douglas Share, a leading Alzheimer's expert, joins us to talk about the latest research. We'll tell you about a special garden designed to reconnect Alzheimer's patients with the great who found